This is the newsroom for Thursday, November 21, 2024. We're broadcasting to you on E1, SKAR TV, NTN, and TARZEE TV in Bartica. In the headlines, Modi wraps up his three-day state visit to Guyana with a thought-provoking address to the National Assembly and visits to the Indian Arrival Monument and the Mahatma Gandhi statue. Civilians using sirens and flashing lights are urged to start stripping immediately as President Ali sounds a warning to errant drivers that their license can be suspended for breaking the laws.
If you have sirens and emergency lights illegally on your vehicle, I'm asking you to remove them immediately.
Jack Dio rebuffs opposition for false statements on foreigners voting in the 2025 elections, with the government's motive for the $100,000 cash grant. And in sport, Fight for Fun cricket program unearthing new talents and weighing over adamant Golden Jaguars' need to address defensive issues. With the news, I'm Kurt Campbell. We're glad you can join us. First up, in a historic address to Guyana's National Assembly on Thursday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to both the government and the opposition in what was only the second ever speech by a foreign head of state in the post-independence history of the country's parliament. The first occurred nearly 2 decades ago in 2005 when Brazilian President Lula Inácio Lula da Silva addressed the body. Modi's speech was a momentous occasion not only for the strengthening of bilateral ties between the two countries, but also for its reflection on the changing global landscape and the need for unity in addressing common challenges. Shri Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, has wrapped up his 3-day state visit to Guyana, a visit that holds much cultural and diplomatic significance to both Guyana and India. Several activities the Prime Minister were engaged in on Thursday before his departure, the highlight of which was his address to the National Assembly. And you may ask why it was important for Modi to address the National Assembly, particularly taking into consideration that these occasions are very rare. And one of those significance is that while Modi's engagement with the government has been largely covered in the local press, this is an opportunity for Modi to reiterate those engagements with the government, to speak on the agreements signed between the two countries, and to really put all of that into the record of the National Assembly, the Hansard as it is called. Myself and my colleague Vishani Radbir, we've been covering this trip extensively from Modi's arrival at the Teddy Jagan International Airport on Tuesday night, and Vishani will also speak on the significance of this address to the National Assembly.
Sure. So it is important to know that it is quite significant for a visiting head of state, that is a president or a prime minister, to address Guyana's National Assembly. Now, the president of Brazil, President Lula Inácio Lula da Silva, did this in 2005. That's more than a decade ago, probably 2 decades ago, almost 2 decades ago.
Correct.
Now, Prime Minister Modi on Thursday addressed Guyana's National Assembly, and that was seen as an affirmation or a reaffirmation of the very strong bilateral ties between Guyana and India. Of course, the visit by Prime Minister Modi itself is a historic and quite significant one, but like my colleague mentioned, there is an extra layer of significance that is added now that he has addressed Guyana's National Assembly, which is the law-making arm of government.
Thank you, Vishani. I just want to continue as we speak about the significance and the importance of Modi really speaking to the National Assembly. Another significance is that while Modi's engagements have been largely with the government of Guyana, this is an opportunity for him to engage with the parliamentary opposition. He will have an opportunity to meet the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton himself, and I know that at the end of his address there will be a group photo between the government MPs, the opposition MP, along with the Speaker and the Prime Minister of India. But let me just let you know that Modi's visit has been much more extensive than his address to the National Assembly on Thursday. He also held engagements, closed-door meetings with the government on Wednesday, and he also engaged with the other leaders of the region, CARICOM leaders. My colleague Vishani covered that, and she will tell you more about that engagement.
So, of course, there's a lot of significance attached to Prime Minister Modi's visit to Guyana for Guyana. But his visit was not one that concentrated just on India-Guyana relations, but it also focused on relations between India and the Caribbean community at large. Now, by way of context, relations between India and CARICOM started to formalize since in the 1980s, and there was real movement in deepening these ties in the early 2000s. But then in 2019, there was the first ever India-CARICOM summit at the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. On Wednesday, also after he met with the president in an event that was covered by my colleague Kurt, the Prime Minister met with regional leaders from the Caribbean community, CARICOM, and there he offered a suite of measures that India is ready to provide to countries all across the region. He basically extended India's hand of friendship, and an important point he made was that India wants to support the region's needs and wants. Now, of course, the Prime Minister meeting with those Caribbean leaders here in Ghana is significant because this is the first time the CARICOM India Summit is being held in a CARICOM member state. And it's being held in Guyana, which is a founding member of CARICOM, and it's where the CARICOM's secretariat is housed.
Right. But like I said earlier, this visit was not all business. There was also some fun parts, and like we said, cultural significance to the Prime Minister visiting Guyana, where over 40% of the population can trace their ancestry back to India. And just as we're talking about the fun sites, some other visits are to the Indian Arrival Monument, which commemorates the arrival of Indian indentured laborers, not just to Guyana, but the Caribbean at large. And he will also be visiting the Mahatma Gandhi statue in the Promenade Gardens in Georgetown, where he will also pay tribute to Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. Vishani, you want to talk to us?
Of course, the Prime Minister is also visiting the Swami Vidyaniketan School, which is on the west coast of Damara, where he will meet with students, so they're not being left out of this engagement at all. He will also meet with members of the Indian diaspora and cricketers, because of course cricket is important to both Guyana and India.
Right.
And after a very packed schedule here in Ghana, he will be wrapping it up and heading back to his home country.
Right, and let's not forget the 7 Curry engagement at State House yesterday, and of course the official state dinner.
Today, through the Parliament of Guyana, I also invite the youth of Guyana to work together with Indian innovators and scientists. Collaborate globally and act locally. This is the inspiration we can give to our youth. Through creative collaboration, we can find solutions to global challenges. Friends, as the great son of Guyana, Sri Chedi Jagan once said, lessons from the past must serve as a guide for the present and help create a strong foundation for the future.
Continuing our coverage of Modi's landmark trip to Guyana, he paid tribute to the enduring legacy of Indian indentured laborers by visiting the Indian Monument Gardens. This symbolic gesture reaffirms the cultural bonds that connect India and Guyana, honoring a history of resilience, sacrifice, and shared traditions.
There is no mistake about what a chance meeting with Narendra Modi is for Indians living in Guyana. Here, little Chahana Chandwani gets her Bhagavad Gita autographed. A chosen group of Indians received special invitations to meet Modi at noon in the Indian Monument Gardens. Among them, the Sisters of the Raj Yoga Center. So tell me what meeting Modi was like for you?
I like him, I don't know, from the beginning when he elected, I like him very much, and he's very receptive for everything what we speak about. And our is more spiritual relationship, not physical that I want this, I want this. We don't have that relationship. We are here as godly representative to give him blessing and courage and power, so that whatever work he's doing, he must do better and better.
I shared that you receive extra strength and courage from God because you uplift those who are disheartened. So I wanted to just give this from behalf of God and the divine to him, because he's come. So let this bond, friendship between the two countries uplift everyone.
Narendra Modi ji belonged to the Gujarat Gandhinagar, and I born and brought up in Gujarat Gandhinagar. So we have a different bondage with him from the childhood, and we always admire him very much.
It was a brief walkthrough of the Indian Monument Gardens, but perhaps the most significant one of this visit by Modi through the lens of heritage. He offered flowers at the monument, a replica of the SSS Whitby, which brought the first set of Indian indentured workers to these shores in 1838. The monument, designed by Guyanese architect Albert Rodrigues and built in India, was unveiled in 1997 by the late entrepreneur, philanthropist and Indian cultural advocate Yesu Prasad. From the monument, the Prime Minister proceeded to plant a tree in honor of his visit to the gardens, which functions as an open-air museum detailing the history and culture of the Indians who came here under indentureship between 1838 and 1917, and their descendants who have worked and helped to build Guyana to what it is today. The type of tree was deliberately chosen.
The Beopatra is a tree of religious significance in India. It's a tree that they use in religious ceremonies. It also has a lot of Ayurvedic properties. So it's a tree that signifies, it's found around Guyana. So it's a tree that was also brought from India to Guyana. So what we're doing is that we're basically replanting a friendship by replanting this old tree that came from India in the soil here. And we're very grateful that the Honourable Prime Minister is here to plant this tree.
From the tree planting, Mr. Modi went across to a replica of the Loji, the housing the Indians used when they landed in Guyana, and which housing they all probably used, all 230,000 of them who came under indentureship from 1838 to 1917.
We all came from very, very humble beginnings. And once you forget where you come from, right, you won't go forward into the future. So celebrating that, yes, we all lived in a loji. Yes, these are little range houses that were abandoned. They served their purpose. We did very well out of the lojis. So while it looks like a shack, right, it's not a shack for us as a country. It's a shack that we all lived in. There's a significance to us and shows young people that while we all came from this, you can achieve a lot more. Look what we've done in 100 years. Imagine what Guyana is going to be like in the next 100 years.
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the Indian Monument Gardens in Guyana holds profound significance, symbolizing a tribute to the enduring cultural and historical ties between India and Guyana, and reaffirms India's commitment to acknowledging the global impact of its diaspora and Guyana's commitment to preserving its connection with India. For the newsroom, I'm Neil Marks.
Also, as part of his 3-day state visit to Guyana this week, Modi paid homage to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi in the Promenade Gardens, Georgetown. Gandhi is considered the father of India, and the Prime Minister visited his statue in Guyana as part of his 3-day state visit to the country.
सर्वथार सर्वेश्वर सर्वव्यापक सर्व अंतर्यामी अजर अमर अभय नित्य पवित्र
In a strong call to curb the rising misuse of sirens and flashing lights, President Dr. Irfan Ali on Thursday demanded the immediate removal of these devices from unauthorized vehicles. The president's message aimed at addressing the growing abuse of these emergency tools comes amid increasing reports of civilians using sirens to bypass traffic. In response to the escalating issue, President Ali revealed that he has already engaged with Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal about amending laws to introduce fines and the suspension of driver's license for those caught using unauthorized lights.
If you have sirens and emergency lights illegally on your vehicle, I'm asking you to remove them immediately. I've asked the Attorney General to amend the laws with a fine and suspension of license for persons who are illegally using license and sirens. And for those security companies and others especially who are granted permission for the use of lights, the law will also provide for the removal of those lights and suspension of your security license if you're abusing those siren and lights. We're seeing tremendous abuse. I've also asked the police, the Commissioner of Police and his team, to move immediately. On all those shops, centers who are selling these illegal lights and sirens. All those who are installing these illegal lights and sirens. I've asked the Commissioner of Police also to have his team examine this, because you too are part of the problem.
Vice President Dr. Bartica Thursday dismissed opposition claims about the presence of foreigners in Guyana's voter list and reiterated that the ruling People's Progressive Party Civic has no need to rely on fake external votes to win the upcoming 2025 elections. Jagdeo was responding to accusations made by opposition leader Aubrey Norton, who alleged that large numbers of foreigners, including individuals from Bangladesh, were being added to the voters' list. However, Jagdeo firmly rejected these claims, emphasizing that the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, an independent constitutional body, is responsible for maintaining the voters' list, not the PPPC.
We don't need foreigners to vote to win the elections. When APNU was in government, we won the elections. When they practically controlled everything, we won the elections. And with the 5 years of work, we have only seen growth in our support right across the country. Whilst their fortunes have diminished significantly, nobody takes them seriously now. Nobody takes APNU seriously. They don't have any plan for the future, and they don't have any accomplishment in the past. And their only thing is beating the drums of racism. So who will support that in this era? So we don't need to put foreigners on the list to have them vote to win the elections. But again, it is creating doubts in the minds of their own supporters, who they were fooling in 2020 that they won the elections. They want those people to start getting angry again, But people are wiser now.
When the newsroom returns, Modi receives Guyana's highest national award, and local technicians and engineers benefit from LG training. Welcome back. This is the newsroom. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was conferred with Guyana's highest national award, the Order of Excellence, late Wednesday night in a ceremony that underscored his exceptional contributions to global leadership and the deepening of ties between Guyana and India.
Allow me, on behalf of the grateful people, the people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the government of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, to thank Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji for his exceptional service to the global community. And I ask all of us to applaud him. The greatest test of any human being, the greatest test of any member of the human family, is to give of their very little when they are most in need. And Prime Minister Modi has fulfilled this test with distinction during the COVID-19 pandemic, when they gifted this region 500,000 vaccines, when India itself was rallying to meet their own needs. Here in Guyana, we were fortunate also to receive 80,000 of those vaccines. When many countries in the world told us we had to wait in a line, and not only wait in the line, but wait at the back of the line, India came forward and said, from the little we have, we will share with everyone in the line. And that is remarkable. Guyana has benefited enormously from India. Our human capital, training through scholarships, military exchange program, concessional loans, grants, our first international stadium, investment from the Indian Exim Bank, cultural exchanges, support in our medical field. In every sphere of national development, we can point to physical, institutional, and systemic support from the government and people of India. And we salute you, Prime Minister Modi, and the people of India, and we thank you gratefully on behalf of all the people of Guyana and on behalf of the people of this beautiful region. Continue to lead, continue to be bold, continue to demonstrate the type of spine that is required in this very complex global environment. And know that in Guyana and in CARICOM, you will have the support to ensure that we all win and win together in the interest of the people of our countries. Thank you, and God bless you.
यह सम्मान केवल मेरा ही नहीं, बल्कि भारत के 140 करोड़ लोगों का सम्मान है। यह हमारे संबंधों के प्रति आपकी गहरी प्रतिबद्धता का सजीव प्रमाण है, जो हमें हर क्षेत्र में आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करता रहेगा।
This honor does not only belong to me, but also to 1.4 billion Indians. This is a living proof of your deep commitment towards our relations, which will continue to inspire us to move forward in every field. Friends, India-Guyana relations are based on our shared history, cultural heritage, and deep mutual trust. President Irfan Ali has personally contributed immensely in taking these relations to unprecedented heights. Under his leadership, we are continuously moving forward in every direction. India is also ready to walk shoulder to shoulder with Guyana in every field. Our cooperation as two democracies is important not only for bilateral relations, but also for the entire global South.
अनेक नदियां, झरना और झीलों से समृद्ध गयाना को लैंड ऑफ मैनी वाटर्स कहा जाता है.
Friends, Guyana, blessed with numerous rivers, waterfalls and lakes, is called the land of many waters. Just as the rivers of Guyana have been an integral part of the cultural identity of the people here, similarly, the great rivers of India like Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra have been the birthplace of our ancient civilization. Water has been given a place of social and cultural pride in both the countries. I dedicate the honor bestowed upon me today to these very historical relations between India and Guyana and our unbreakable friendship. Once again, I wish to convey my heartfelt gratitude to you, Mr. President, and the people of Guyana. Thank you.
And also in a celebration of diplomacy and culture, the lawns of State House came alive Wednesday evening with a grand state dinner and a vibrant cultural show honoring Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The event highlighted Guyana's rich cultural diversity, featuring performances that showcased the country's unique blend of traditions and heritage. This video showcasing highlights of the event was produced by the newsroom's Shatanan Anood.
से कह उठा शिव शिवम तरल अनल गगन पवन धरा धरा शिव शिवम.
Have you ever heard the mighty waters roar while the eagles soar above evergreen? You know exactly what I mean. Most beautiful thing you ever have seen. Right, enjoying our history. Leave there in peace. Come now we link till the ocean breeze. This is freedom. This is freedom. This is freedom. We are free. This is freedom. This is freedom.
greatest test of any member of the human family is to give of their very little when they are most in need. And Prime Minister Modi has fulfilled this test with distinction during the COVID-19 pandemic. In every sphere of national development, we can point to physical, institutional, and systemic support from the government and people of India. And we salute you, Prime Minister Modi, and the people of India, and we thank you gratefully on behalf of all the people of Guyana and on behalf of the people of this beautiful region.
In a decisive move to curb the alarming rise in road accidents and fatalities, President Dr. Irfan Ali has announced a series of new measures aimed at holding errant drivers accountable and improving road safety in Guyana. Key initiatives include the use of body cameras by police officers, enhanced CCTV surveillance, and stricter penalties for traffic violations. Speaking during a live broadcast on Thursday, President Ali emphasized the urgent need to address gaps in existing traffic laws. He pointed out that driver's license will now be suspended for those who fail to adhere to road regulations.
As it is now, the law provides for the suspension of license. And I've asked the traffic chief, commissioner of police, and the leadership of the Guyana Police Force to take immediate steps to have this law implemented fully. With all the speeding that is taking place on our roadways, only 18 suspensions this year does not speak to the magnitude of the issue we have on our roadways. So I've asked also that the body cam we procured and are procuring for the Guyana Police Force traffic ranks especially, that those body cams be used in the execution of duties, traffic duties, so we can have video evidence and recording. I've asked that the cameras, the CCTV cameras, help us to identify these errant drivers, these lawless drivers, on the issue of drinking under the influence of alcohol. We passed a law in which bar owners have a responsibility to relieve drivers of their keys and not to sell alcohol to drivers. I've asked the Guyana Police Force to also ensure that this law is enforced and implemented to the maximum. I asked the AG earlier to see whether we can also amend the laws to have the license of bars suspended. The license of bars suspended if they're not complying with this regulation and this law. We cannot continue the carnage on our roads. We cannot continue the lawlessness on our roads. Thirdly, in keeping with the laws again and all the public notices, and with our investment in technology, as you know, the Hero Highway carries traffic cameras that is directly linked to the Guyana Police Force and Guyana Revenue Authority. They have been issuing tickets. How many speeding tickets we issued so far? 893, sir. Huh? 893. On that highway? On that highway, 893. On that highway alone, the Heroes Highway, we have issued 893 tickets so far this year. They are now going to go through all the drivers, because this public notice was there, who continuously speed more than 3 times. And they will move in accordance with the law to have those licenses suspended. We have to take these actions to save you. Very soon, we'll also be putting up speed advisory digital boards across different highways that would give you an indication as to the speed you're going at. So truck drivers on the whole, but especially those truck drivers, public transportation drivers, I'm asking you not to do anything special. All I'm asking you to do in the interest of saving lives is comply with the law.
As a result of the continuous danger being posed on our roads, in particular by lorries that are laden, but more especially those that are laden and speeding, as well as unladen, we are going to introduce a strict regime of penalties and regulation to ensure that we minimize the risks caused by these lorries to road users. We are going to impose speed limits. We are going to tie those speed limits to laden weight. We are going to ensure that certain areas or certain roads are only to be used. And we are going to ensure, obviously, that the drivers are licensed and they are qualified to drive these types of vehicles.
The government of Guyana categorically condemned the disinformation campaign orchestrated by the People's National Congress Reform and the Working People's Alliance regarding the registration process for the $100,000 cash grant initiative, and said it remains committed to safeguarding the process against fraud and misinformation. Vice President Dr. Bartica spoke on the baseless and mischievous press releases seeking to invite confusion were issued on Wednesday by the PNC and WPA that falsely claim that registrants are being interrogated about their voting history in the last general and regional elections.
That somehow we're using this to collect information so we could rig the elections. That is their contention again. We want to collect this information. Now, every bit of information that we collect here is already on GCOM official list of electors up to June. If you go online, and it's also shared with a political party, they have a searchable copy. You can put in your name and you would see person, date of birth, address, everything. We don't have to collect this information for election purposes. APNU has the very information we're collecting now, but we want it verified. So we want to make sure that this person comes, register, get a picture, and then you get their ID. So when we cut the check and they come to collect the check, we give it to the right person, and the details, all the details are on the check.
In an effort to bridge the gap between traditional installation methods and cutting-edge technology, local technicians and engineers in Guyana Wednesday participated in a specialized training seminar on LG products. The initiative, designed to enhance technical skills and improve daily operations, took place at GT Motorsports in Georgetown. The seminar, led by LG Air Solutions field engineer Eduardo Velez and supported by Platinum Sales and Services, LG's local distributor and service center, focused primarily on LG's air conditioning units, widely used in Guyana's expanding commercial sector.
Today we're going to make like a brief introduction about service of LG equipments. We are going to give some main bullet points of installation standard for LG equipments, and also a brief introduction into the VRF units operation, and a little bit of troubleshooting for these equipment, so that every of the attendees can have like a general knowledge of the equipment. And it's like a sneak peek of like a complete training that normally we provide in Panama for technicians that are looking to certificate in the LG brand. It's very relevant for technicians to know the equipment. Normally, when they install equipment and are not familiar, they apply the traditional installation methods that sometimes are not compatible with the newer generation of equipment. So it's very good for them to have a general knowledge of the VRF installation standards, so they can install the equipment as better as possible. It's very important, as normally technicians might encounter some problems with all equipment, and they also need to be very have knowledge of the unit, so they can solve quickly for the customer. Last year we did a similar training with this. People got a lot of information, a lot of the technicians, even they learned a lot here. They also went back to Panama. I think 2 trainees went to Panama and did a complete certification. So it was very helpful for them, and also they were very quick solving the problems and installations of the projects of LG that we have here in Guyana. Mainly, it will help them to try to solve problems faster. That is always an issue for the customer, that when they lost air conditioning, it's always they want the air conditioning back as soon as possible. So that will help them a lot. And also make them produce better installations for the AC equipment. So equipment can last a lot longer and provide more results for the customer.
We have LG technicians, lead technicians here, training the Guyanese installers and technicians of how to use the product, how to diagnose the product, how to the efficiency works. So we are educating the Guyanese population about the product, mainly the LG air conditioning, and our target is the commercial air conditioning. We have seen the development in Guyana, so many big buildings, apartment buildings, hotels, offices. So we are targeting the commercial sector. It's very important because the technology in LG is way above what we know locally. So we need to bridge that gap. So the technicians will be au fait of the new technology and the energy efficiency and the installation techniques and everything that go with it.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport news. Stay with us. Welcome back to the newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport. We start things off with some cricket news. The Republic Bank 5 for Fun program concluded Wednesday at the Queen's College Cricket Ground. It was another huge success in attracting players to cricket. Hopefully, now they can transition to clubs and further afield. Cricket West Indies project officer Brendan Ramlal highlighted that the program is a key part of rejuvenating the passion for the sport in the Caribbean and building a pool of players for the future.
This Republic Bank 5 for Fun program is a collaboration between Republic Bank, Cricket West Indies and the local territorial board. It is actually based in 4 territories across the region in Guyana, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis and St. Lucia, and targets primary school children between the ages of 8 to 12 years old. This forms the base of CWI's development pathway, and it's key for us for talent identification and migration into other CWI programs for future stars program. We are at our national finals here in Guyana. It's the second edition of the Republic Bank 5 for Fun program, and we have 3 county winners that will be represented here today. We have St. Teresa's Primary, who will be representing the Berbice County, who are the Berbice champions. We have Sparta Primary, who are the Essequibo County champions, and we have Lenora Primary, who are the Demerara County champions. This 5 for Fun program, as the name says, is 5 for fun. It's based around fun, it's based around enjoyment, it's about getting mass participation back at the grassroots level of our cricket pyramid. So while we focus on the technical skills, which we will see a lot of talent here today, it's more about getting the kids back into cricket, getting bats and balls into the hands, into the communities, so that we can continue to grow the base of our grassroots program.
Yeah, and for you, though, I know you're a cricketer, but what would you hope to see the boards then do for these children as a next step on the pathway of getting into more structured programs?
Next steps for this program, in collaboration with the territorial boards, we are hoping to bring on board some 2-week specialist camp for the talented players that we have, which will come on board hopefully 2025. And of course, we hope to see these players migrate into the county teams in terms of under 15, under 17, under 19 as they go through. And not just for our male cricketers, but also our female cricketers to come on board in terms of the under 19 setup and build that base for the local territorial boards and the GCB.
While elated that the Golden Jaguars won 9-4 on aggregate against Barbados and secured a spot on the Gold Cup prelims in March 2025, acting head coach of the Golden Jaguars, Wayne Dover, is adamant that the defense needs improving. Dover, who is hopeful for another permanent appointment on the job, explained after the 5-3 triumph on Tuesday evening that fitness and attitude to the game are other areas that need addressing so that they can compete consistently against top teams. The Golden Jaguars will have their work cut out in the prelims as they face the formidable Guatemala, a team they have never beaten. However, a victory would see them qualify for a second CONCACAF Gold Cup.
We would have liked to have a 9-0 aggregate, but of course, we didn't play with ourselves. We played with against a very competitive outfit, and the game, there's no room for errors, and we show where there's a lot of work to be done defensively in our organization, in our pressing to the ball. Yeah, generally in transition.
Yeah, and that same point you would have touched on about the attacking third. Previously, it was a hot topic. You think is the improvements are being seen in how we transition and begin to score?
Well, we all know that this group of players been together for a while, and we've seen some great football being played over the last 2 to 3 years with this particular group. And when we start the preparation for this campaign here, we spend a lot more time working on our transitional play, out of possession. Once we out of possession, we want to collapse and be organized and try to win the ball back. And as we win the ball back, we want to play very quick out because we know we have very quick players up front and a very skillful player and clinical player like Diro, who came into the squad came into the starting 11 today and the previous game, and he make his presence felt with the opportunity given to start these games. We will start to prepare our minds towards analyzing this group to see where we need to strengthen up and try to build a team that could go out and play collectively and win games. definitely one of the things then we want to stamp out from this whole sojourn with this group is poor attitude, and that we will declare zero tolerance against. So, as we push forward, we hope to build something that is lasting.
Coach, you guys have been to a World Cup before, but the last 2 times you were out in the preliminaries. What will be crucial to making that transition again into the big tournament, onto the big stage?
But definitely, like Barbados saying, they learned a lesson playing against us, and we learned a lesson playing against the League A team, so we know the areas that we have to work on. So definitely fitness is a key element that has to be improved on, and a little bit more quality in the squad. The squad needs a little bit more depth and a little bit more quality. So definitely we won't shy away from that, because to compete at the level in a league, you have to have good quality players at the top there and fit players.
The ExxonMobil Guyana Global Super League schedule has changed, with the final now set for December 6. The match between Hampshire Hawks and Victoria will also change. It will now take place at 10 a.m. on December 5. All matches will take place at the Guyana National Stadium, Providence, and the tournament will get underway on Tuesday, November 26. Sir Clive Lloyd, chairman of the GSL, indicated that while the squads for the West Indies ODI series against Bangladesh have not yet announced, they want to ensure that there was no chance of a clash between the conclusion of the GSL and the preparations for that series. Director of the ExxonMobil Guyana Global Super League, Jamie Stewart, urges persons to get their tickets early, as he predicts the league will be the latest party in sport and will offer great value to cricket-loving fans worldwide. In a recent interview with the newsroom's Avinash Ramzan, Smith characterized the league as momentous for Guyana, given its potential to flourish in the future years. The tournament is set to feature 5 franchises: Guyana Amazon Warriors, Hampshire Hawks from England, Lahore Qalandas from Pakistan, Rangpur Riders from Bangladesh, and Victoria from Australia, battling for US $1 million. All 11 matches will be played in Guyana from November 26 to December 6.
As much as possible, we want to reach out to people everywhere and tell them to get out there, buy their tickets, grab a bunch of friends. This is the latest party in sport, following on from the CPL, and it's going to be a similar great time, similar party atmosphere, lots of entertainment, and, hopefully your Warriors going home with the trophy. First time at the Expo, it's great to see, all the people there. Had the pleasure of following, His Excellency around as he visited literally every stall in the Expo, which was, so I got to see everything there. Great to see the response of the fans. I think, what sets this event apart, and you touched upon it in your intro, but this is an event created by Guyana for Guyana. This is, the vision of His Excellency to create a lasting major international sports event for Guyana that's happening year on year on year. This is the first year of it, so, I feel very important that everyone bands together and makes sure that what's being beamed out all across the world to literally hundreds of millions of people is a vibrant, exciting event, a vibrant, exciting country, which it is. Guyana's on the cusp of, really a great future. So many things on the pipeline, and I've experienced it for myself. The joy of the people, the beauty of the people. It's a beautiful country, filled by very warm and personable people, and we want to be able to demonstrate that, showcase that to the world. So it'd be great if everyone could rock up for that on that first game. Let's get a full house going. Let's show the world what Guyana's all about.
Yeah, well, the president, he's been constantly talking about the fact that he wants to make Guyana that hub for world-class activities. So this is just another activity in that line of promoting Guyana as a destination for that.
Yeah, I think a very ambitious one. If you look at it, it's the first time for over a decade that teams from different franchise leagues have come together and play. There was the Champions League many years ago, which some of the die-hard fans out there may remember. But this is the first time that it's been attempted for over a decade, and that's a very ambitious
thing. And the fact that it's been pulled off at a relatively short notice, and here we have the most popular team in Pakistan Super League, one of the winningest teams in the Bangladesh Premier League, the Rangpur team, Hampshire, which has won the trophy won the Blast, the T20 Blast trophy in England more than any other team has, the Hampshire Hawks, and Victoria, who playing out of the Melbourne Cricket Ground, one of the historically powerhouses, I would say, of domestic cricket around the world. To have all those 4 teams take on the beloved Warriors, it's ambitious. They're all going to be arriving in the next day or two. You're going to see the town full of international cricketers, and I hats off again to the leadership for their vision in pulling this together.
And with that, we've come to the end of this newscast. On behalf of the news and technical teams, I'm Kurt Campbell saying thank you.